Well, so we get to have a part three apparently. I don't know what's going on with this camera or this card, but it keeps stopping in the middle of the recording for some reason. It might be hitting a max file size. I'm not sure, although it doesn't appear to be the case. So, what did we miss that I thought I had recorded in part two but didn't? Basically, I was cleaning the head with alcohol, and then after I did that, I put it back in. And putting the deck back into position is really very straightforward. You just finagle it into position. There are two screws, one here and one here, and then two on the bottom, there and there. And that's it. I tested it, and it works. So I'll show you a couple of things about this phase of it before we go on to the B deck. Most cassette decks have a pretty cool feature that a lot of people never know is there, but if you grab the door by both sides and just lift up, a lot of decks, this whole front panel will just lift right off like that, and that gives you great access for cleaning and aligning the heads later on if you need to do that. So to clean it, simply take our little can and pour out some of the 99% or better alcohol, just a little bit in there, and take a Q-tip, and very simply just keep rubbing the head clean until any last trace of gunk comes off. It typically looks kind of brown, brownish black. It's oxide particles from the tape. As tapes get old, they shed oxide. And it usually winds up on the head or on the pinch rollers or on the capstan. So obviously, when we had the thing out was the better time to clean the head and the capstan. So I'm just showing you how you do this once the once the deck is in situ and how you would normally clean the head. If you're used to trying to reach in at funny angles, just very gently lift on the door and see if it comes off. A lot of them do. My Nakamichi does, my Sony does, this Aiwa does. I find that on the higher end decks, more often than not, these just come right off. Alright, so then, assuming we've got the heads clean, we'll put that aside. How do we use the demagnetizer? Everybody thinks they know how to use the demagnetizer. A lot of people think they know how to use the demagnetizer. This is a tape head demagnetizer. This is kind of an old one. It doesn't have a power switch. This is the hand demag, and it's pretty strong. It's a wand style one. It's got a laminate there that's kind of dipped in rubber coat. And so what you want to do is you want to bring the wand in there near the head, and you never want to really hold the wand still. Okay, now first thing is first. Make sure the thing is either unplugged or certainly turned off. Do not do this procedure with the tape deck turned on. It won't hurt. It won't kill most decks, but it is possible. This thing produces a very strong magnetic field, which produces a signal in that head that is many times higher than will ever be there during the course of playing back a tape. And it is possible to roast that first gain stage and fry a transistor or two out. It is possible. I've never actually done it, but I've been warned by people who know about these things, and I take their word for it because I've seen high signals roast ICs before, just literally burn a hole right through them. So hopefully that won't happen. No, it won't happen because we've turned the thing off, right? It's turned off. That's unplugged just to be sure. So what you do with the demag is after it's plugged in and turned on, you bring it in, and you're moving it the whole time in a circle, and you bring it near the head. You don't actually ever touch it to the head. It's got a rubber coating on it so that you don't scratch the head if you accidentally bump it in there, but you're not supposed to touch it to the head or anything like that. What you're doing is you're trying to remove any magnetic buildup that's happened on the head over the course of time. It'll get slightly magnetized, and so what you're doing is you're scrambling that magnetic field. So you're gonna bring it in, And if it's got a button on it, this one doesn't. This one's on whenever it's plugged in. But if yours has a button on it, you're going to bring it in, turned on and moving, and you're going to bring it in there and move it around. And still on, you're going to keep moving it as you pull it away. And then let go, and then unplug it. The reason you do that is because when you first kick this thing on, and when you when you let it go, it creates a spike. Creates a magnetic spike that comes out. So you don't want that spike to hit it. For one reason, that little pulse can actually remagnetize the head slightly. So you can demagnetize it like this, and then if you turn it off like that, the little pulse that this thing creates can then remagnetize the head slightly. So you bring it in, moving and on. Bring it close to the head, always moving it in circles. Bring it out, and then turn it off. And of course, you make sure that there are no cassettes or anything that could get scrambled, like, you know, your wallet, your credit cards, anything that could get scrambled by a demagnetizer. You make sure that they're well and good away. This thing produces quite a field, so I'm just going to do that real quick. I'm going to plug it in. It doesn't really... and you can feel it buzz. And actually, as you get near the head, you can feel that some of that energy is transferring to the head because it's kind of being drawn to the head slightly. And that's it. That's all you have to do to demag a head. It's really that simple. So you clean it with alcohol first to get any oxide particles off of it. You would do the capstan and the pinch roller too. I wouldn't use, as I say, I keep saying this, I try not to use alcohol on the pinch roller when I can avoid it. I just use water. If it needs some light dusting and cleaning, alcohol can dry out the rubber. Go back to video number 2 if you want to see me use the Ron regrip for reconditioning rubber. So this one's kind of funny. You gotta kind of have the tray just half in, half out. There we go, and that's that. Okay, so moving right along. We already did the belt on this side, but that video started with me having this thing already out and me having cleaned it up. This side here, I've cleaned up mostly. I cleaned the flywheel, but I haven't cleaned the motor at all, so we get to see what that kind of nasty gook belt looks like and what to look out for if you're inspecting a deck and you want to know if it's going to have these horrible belts. So 4 screws. I'm going to take out the bottom ones first because that makes it easier. Now the first deck had plenty of room around it as far as the wiring harness was concerned. So it's going to be, whoops, no, it's going to be these 2 screws here. We're moving to the second deck. This screwdriver just doesn't have quite the bite it needs on that. I need a number 2-bit. Let's do that. Actually, what I need is a number 1-bit. Oh, and it's significantly tighter than the other screws. Oh, and my number 1-bit is, of course, somewhere other than where I need it to be. That's great. Yet another way to turn this video into a way too long video. Well, I'm going to do what I probably shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to put some real force on this screw downward. Wow. Oh, finally cracked it. In order not to strip the head, I'm pressing down on the screwdriver super hard with like all my upper body weight, basically. And that's just to keep it seated in there so that it doesn't round the head off. It's really not a great thing to do. This thing's got a good steel chassis. I knew it would take it. Hopefully I won't have to do that again. Yeah, I did a little bit. That one wasn't as bad as the last one, but I certainly had to put some weight into it. But luckily, I didn't knacker the heads on the screws. That was a lot of force to have to put on those. They just have, no, there's no thread locker that I can see. They were just tight as hell. All right. So, let's keep the cord out of the way. And of course, we're still unplugged here. Certain aspects of this deck are safe to work on when it's plugged in, but when you're reaching around and grabbing stuff and sticking tools in there, make sure it's unplugged, because you know you can hit the power by accident, brush up against it. 110 probably won't kill you, but it's a nasty surprise. Of course, my friends over in Britain might say that 220 mains that they have over there are quite deadly, and they are. So they'd be very cautious indeed. But anyway, so we got, so we got all 4 screws out. We ejected it, and as I feared, this one is just a lot more cramped by its wiring harness. So we're going to have to snip wire clips to get this guy out, and probably even unplug a few things from the board. Now, I'm pretty confident I can bundle this stuff up pretty neatly when I'm done here, and probably even do a better job than they did, frankly. But if you feel at all uncomfortable with kind of like undoing this jigsaw puzzle, pause for a moment, get out your phone, take some pictures. Pictures are a great way to remind yourself of where things went and how things were laid out. So we're going to cut these clips. I recommend using nippers, not these electrical scissors, because you can nick a wire if you're not careful, but I'm being careful. I guess you could nip a wire with anything. So, as I said in video number 2, it certainly does help to have some basic electronic repair skills in case you break a wire doing one of these things and have to get your soldering iron out. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have to part the ocean here a little bit, and I think we've mostly, what I'm trying to do is just kind of separate the wires that have to do with this deck from all the other wires, so I can see what I'm dealing with. And if I just gently finagle, again, always pay attention when you're backing up a big hunk of metal like this, that you're not backing it into components that are on the board that are going to get scratched or busted off. And I can get it almost clear now. It's catching a few wires on the bottom. I think, though, I'm going to have to cut this clip too. Wire tie, not clip. You know what I'm saying? There we go. This one needs to go under, not over. Okay. There we have it. Now we're getting somewhere. Key to this is patience. Don't get impatient. Don't use too much force. Just very gently get it on out. Okay. What do we have here? We got some more of that tarry crap on the wheel. Now, before I got to this phase, I spent quite a bit of time spinning this wheel around and wiping it off with alcohol, but obviously I couldn't get to it quite as well as I can now that I've got it out into the side. If you wanted to at this point, I mean, these are all headered on the board. You could pull them off so you could work on this outside thing. Mixed feelings about that. Sometimes headers and stuff break or damage when you try to use them, and fixing a header is a lot more of a pain in the ass, frankly, than fixing a busted off solder joint. But I don't know, personal preference, personal choice. I think it's a little quicker if you just fold it up to the side like this, and as long as you're careful how you're laying things down. I mean, like, probably shouldn't lay it on this, so what I might do here is just get a piece of cardboard or something, you know, or some junk mail. Let's see, do I have any junk mail? There we go. I could earn 25,000 bonus points, or I could fix a tape deck on this. There we go. As long as I don't put too much downward force on it, that'll be plenty fine. Okay, so again, back to the cleaning of the nasty. Got a towel here. The towel works good for this big wheel. You'll need a Q-tip for other things. And there's some way down. It's quite out of view of the camera, but there's some there at the bottom on the chassis where the crumbs of this thing finally rested after coming off. Yeah. Sometimes it gets on the side of the wheel too. Basically, it gets everywhere. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Now, time to take off the motor. Now you could take off this whole bracket and just do the belt normally, right? I showed you how to take this bracket off in the last one. We'll do it again. I already had the motor off in the last video. So your choice, but if the belts are nasty and you have to really clean, then take the motor off separately, right? If the pulleys are clean and the old belts were just loose and or it's not an Iowa deck, then hey, just take the whole thing off, right? But in this case, we're going to take off this one screw here at the top of the motor, and then tip it up just a little, push it this way, and boom. There it is. And here we go. So, see that crud? That is the old belt. And it even still a little bit looks like a belt, sort of. It looks like a tire that's been in a junkyard for a very long time. And just to give you a sense of the consistency, look at this. Okay, I'm going to smear some on my, well, no, let's not ruin our nice little work surface, courtesy of American Express, but look at that. I mean, it's fucking tar. You could seal a leak with it. It's unbelievable. So yeah, what you want to do, since it's kind of a thick, it's the thickness of the belt, first thing you want to try and do is remove as much as you can. Now, probably don't want to do what I'm kind of succeeding in doing a little bit here, which is spreading it around the pulley and getting it down into that little crack. There's two kind of inaccessible crevices, the inner and outer extremes of that pulley, and if I'm not careful, I get the, oh my god, it's like, ugh. This is what the belts turn into. I wasn't making it up when I told you how nasty this shit is. And of course, every time I put it down, I am painting those wires with. So this is, one of the disadvantages of not taking the deck all the way out. You kind of have to deal with it flopping around a little bit like this. There. Oh my god, that's just atrocious. That is. That right there. Yeah. Alright. This toothpick is just spreading it too much. I'm going to try and. See, unfortunately, for the last. For this flat thing, you can use a scraper and just take most of it off with the scraper and then go back and clean with alcohol to take the last little bit off. Unfortunately, this pulley is contoured, so there's nothing really, there's no, unless you can find a contoured surface that exactly matches that's, oh my god, yeah, this is just horrible. I don't know, I might be tempted to take this motor and dip it in alcohol and bathe it, but look at this. This stuff just gets on your hands and it is sticky frickin' tar. What else do I have that might work better for this? I think you can appreciate how much time it took me to clean up the first deck. That was already like 90%, 99% clean by the time I started that video. Jesus, it's just spreading everywhere. Gotta be a way to get the stuff off better. Well, I guess I'm going to start with the alcohol and the Q-tip since the dry Q-tip just got shredded. Yeah, that's working a little better. And apparently the alcohol, apart from dissolving this stuff pretty well, also is enough of a lubricant to keep the Q-tip from just getting pulled apart like you were working with drying glue. Oh man, it's getting down to that crevice too. I'm trying not to spread it down there, but so lots and lots of Q-tips. Now you saw why at the beginning of this I had a whole pile of them. This is going a lot better actually. There we go. Let's try this. Kind of wedge it into the corner there so it acts like a little bit of a scraper. Just keep changing it out. Now, if there's a little bit left over down in that crevice, it ain't the end of the world because the new belt will not touch down there. The belt rides right on the purpose of that contour is to center the belt. So it rides right in the middle of the pulley and it won't actually touch down there. And it can't really. But still, you want to remove as much of the shit as you can. It's just no good. No good. This is working pretty well. You know, the last pulley, the rubber was a bit more stuck to the brass. It had reacted with the brass. And I can see a little bit of a reaction on this pulley, but not like on the last one where the brass actually turned green in one spot. On this one, the brass is just actually a little bit lighter colored in one spot, but it's not green. Wow, I think one more Q-tip and we'll be done with that. And of course, I got to clean that crud off of everything that I touched while I was doing this, because as you can see, it's all over my hands. Obviously, if you don't want this crud all over your hands and you don't have some Gojo or some Fast Orange laying around your shop, you might want to wear gloves for this, and you might want to wear gloves for it anyway. I just can't stand how gloves interfere with certain hand operations, though, so I don't mind getting a little nasty on me. All right, so we got the motor clean. Good. There's a little bit down at the bottom there. We'll get that real quick before we proceed, just to, because again, this stuff spreads, so any little bit of it you touch or brush against it, just, it's tar. It's frickin' tar. Look at that. Can you believe that used to be a rubber belt? It did. I promise. I don't know any chemists out there who know about rubber and vulcanization and stuff like that could explain how that happens. I would be very, very interested to know. So, look at that. All right. Well, let's do, well, the camera's still running. That's a good thing. So, I got some on this wire here. Let's clean that up. Again, if you don't clean up everywhere you see that stuff, it just spreads. Oh, there's some there. Some on the edge of that. Some on the motor where I was holding it. Oh, there's the cat scratching on the door to come in. Let me get the door real quick. Yeah, and I just, more alcohol Q-tips. Okay. Come on in, bub. So, 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, to get the belt in position. And we'll just leave the motor out of position for now. There's three short screws and a long one. This is the long one. And the 3 short ones that are identical. Now we have an extra step to take care of on this deck, because this deck drives the counter. There's only one counter on this double deck setup, and it's attached to deck 2. And it uses several of the features like, automatic return to 0 and that kind of thing. So it was thoughtful of Thacker to include those belts. Oh, and I've dropped the screw right in a very fragile place. So those coils don't. Wow. Okay. I'd say my screwdriver lost its magnetism. So there it is, the 4 screws. Let me just take that off. And again, this thing here is a pivot plate that goes against that greased bearing. It's a calibrated adjustment, so don't deform this bracket in any way. Take it off carefully. Don't mess with that setting there. That's not a screw you have to remove. And take the new belt and just kind of drop it on. You can get a little more of that crud. And we'll just drop the belt on. And that's fine. It's not going to stay in position until we get the motor in place. So we'll just put the bracket back now. And yeah, it kind of locks into place when you've got it seated correctly. And we'll put the screws back in. Again, when you're screwing into plastic, I like to back out first and then go in. Just that way you find the existing thread. You're not cutting new thread in the plastic. And back it out till it clicks, and then in it goes. I had to pull the wire out of the way there. The washer of the screw wanted to capture that green wire. Obviously you don't want that to happen. And I'm doing the screws hand tight at first. And I've already mislaid one up. There it is. Back it out till it clicks, and then in it goes. Don't split those studs. You'll be upset. You can fix it if you do. You basically take the whole thing back apart. You wrap something around the post or whatever to kind of hold it there mechanically as the crazy glue you apply sets up. So that can be fixed, but better to not have to fix it. And go back with the, again, be careful how much downward pressure you put on it. Okay, so wonder how long before my cat starts begging me for food. So we're gonna notice the wiring for the motor got a little bit twisted up when we were working on it, so I'm gonna make sure that when I put it back in it's untwisted. And I'll just put it there like that, kind of line up those 2 forks with the grommet slots, and boom. And then put this back in. And there it is. All right, and then simply feed the belt over the main pulley if you can, and then over the motor pulley, and boom. Got it on the first try. That is a rare. Oh, and it popped off. Of course, I had to say something stupid like got it on the first try. Right? Again, what you really want to be careful for is that you don't get it wrapped around the shaft and pinched or bound or in any way nicked during the installation.